Hey everyone, Kevin here. To all the teachers, or anyone for that matter, who is new to LinkedIn, I have a really important message for you today. Please just be yourself. I have seen a lot of poor advice being given to transitioning teachers in this regard because of the fact that they were, well, teachers. They have been told over time not to be themselves far too often in their career and are, for some reason, still being told this. Now, it is true that there is a lingering stigma when it comes to teachers leaving education due to the continuing deprofessionalization that educators face on a daily basis. This is why some of that advice centers on hiding your past work history entirely or ignoring all of your past experiences as a teacher since they supposedly have no overlap outside of education. But as I said, this is terrible advice. Plus, it only reinforces that absurd notion that teachers can't do anything besides teach, a notion we all know is ridiculous. This all leads me to asking a really important question, though. Why can't we just normalize the idea of being authentic these days? Your experiences as a teacher have made you who you are now. Be proud of what you accomplished too. It is not something just to shirk away from. Be be proud. There's no reason not to be. Now, yes, there's probably a lot of trauma you're dealing with that needs to be sorted through, and you don't want to dump all of that in interviews, especially the anger and frustration you have left over in particular, because that can just alienate people. But that doesn't mean you can't say that you are looking for something new or want a fresh challenge outside of education. I fail to see why that is bad or wrong to say. Plus, as I mentioned in another video quite a while back now, our teaching interviews often felt disingenuous. We told administrators what they wanted to hear and often weren't really able to answer truthfully or be ourselves all that much. Though there may have been moments of that here and there, usually they wanted to see if you could mainly be a warm body that could fill the position rather than a person. Which is why I rarely felt like a person as an educator, rather just an employee. We saw that consistently during our time in the classroom, and is why over time we became our jobs. There was no work life balance, and we, frankly, just lost ourselves over time. Upon leaving education, though, we discovered how much of our sense of self was being defined by a job that we no longer enjoyed. And instead of one where our ideas and interests were included or stimulated. In many jobs outside of the public school system, this entire situation is reversed. Hiring managers and recruiters realize that they are indeed hiring a person rather than just an employee. They want you to be genuine, and often that alone gives them an idea of how well you would work on their team. Teachers may have had department members, but let's be honest, you typically were just cloistered in your classroom and didn't have much time to conduct actual teamwork. In corporate, though, you rarely work entirely alone and need to be able to function in a team based environment. This is why personality is sometimes as important as the wealth of your experience. You need to be yourself. Use your past experiences to highlight how you've grown. Reframe your teaching experiences into the language of your new career and share who you are as a person. Plus, I feel like I can just be honest and share what I feel to be genuine responses to questions rather than what they supposedly want to hear. Even my current position was like this. A question was asked of me, and I was pretty honest about how that question was a bit hard for me to answer because of X, Y, and Z reason. And that answer was well received, actually. In teaching, though, that would have been a massive black mark that probably would have gotten me discounted as a potential applicant. I remember how in another interview, actually, the recruiter and I had a 45-minute slot scheduled, but actually ended up finishing the questions in about 20 minutes. We then spent nearly the next half an hour just talking about military history, which we both were extremely interested and invested in. Now, I didn't get the job, But I moved on to the next stage at least, partly because they just see how engaging and fun my background and interest could be on their team. It's important not to forget that. No one wants to work for or with someone who is, to put a fine point on it, fake. Don't listen to someone who makes you feel like you have to change everything about who you are or why to get a new job outside of teaching. Not only will that come back to bite you over time, but it takes the crucial human element out of your transition. You will not feel like anything's improved if you do that. It's a bad idea. Please just be yourself. And as always, I am here to help you find and nourish that person inside of you. See you next time.